Welcome to The Explainer. Our job is to take incredibly complex ideas and break them down into something clear, something dynamic. And today, we are diving into a framework that presents a truly radical idea: that reality itself is operating on a single unified source code. A system where the physical cosmos and divine revelation aren't just related, they are expressions of the very same underlying engine. So let's explore this source code, this dual caustic universe. Let's see how it claims to govern absolutely everything, from the way galaxies spin, all the way down to the very structure of our own consciousness. At the very heart of this entire system is this fundamental pattern. You can think of it as the core operating system for reality itself. It's a three-step process, notated simply as 2, 3, 7, and it basically describes a universal cycle of division, formation, and then return.
Okay, so let's really dig into this engine. It's a simple but powerful three-step loop. It all kicks off with 2, what the source calls razim, which is the split. Just imagine pure potential dividing into a duality, like a single force splitting into these two opposing gradients, one of decay and one of growth. Next up is 3, or rahim. This is formation. This is where that divided energy starts to consolidate into stable, structured forms. You know, things like atoms, planets, and us. And finally, we get to 7, Rahan, the return. The cycle completes, everything is conserved, and it all goes back to the source to start over again. Split, form, return. That's it. That's the core loop of reality.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, right? Because these aren't just some abstract philosophical concepts. They map directly onto well-established principles in modern physics. The split is a dead ringer for symmetry breaking, where a unified field divides into different forces. Formation is kind of like quantum vacuum fluctuations, where particles seem to pop into existence from nothing. And return? Well, that lines up perfectly with one of the most fundamental laws of the universe, the conservation of energy.
Okay, so you have this conceptual cycle, but how does it actually become, well, physical reality? According to this model, the entire process is encoded in a single powerful master equation, which the source calls the al-Kitab, or the mother of the book. So the first piece of this master equation is the cubic term, times ax cubed. This represents the powerful, nonlinear forces of decay and entropy. And notice it's cubed, right? That's because collapse isn't some gentle slope. No, it's an accelerating, overwhelming force that just breaks down complex structures and pulls everything back to disorder. This is the math for things falling apart. But then, pushing back against all that chaos, you have the linear term Cx. This is the upward gradient. It's the constant, steady input of energy and guidance that you need to build structure. So if decay is this wild, chaotic fall, formation is a guided, linear climb. This is the force that organizes energy into things like stars and cells and consciousness.
Okay, so you've got decay pulling down, formation pushing up. What happens in the middle? Well, that's where this crucial piece comes in, the quadratic term, bx squared. And this is not some passive boundary. This is the engine room. The model argues that literally everything we experience, the flow of time, the pull of gravity, the very process of learning something, is generated right here, in the tension created by that clash between formation and decay.
And finally, you have the anchor holding this whole thing together, the invariant constant, d equals 19. According to the source, this number represents the total conserved field, the baseline equilibrium that the system must always return to. It doesn't matter how wildly the other forces fluctuate, this constant ensures that the books always balance. It's the system's uncorrupted truth value. So you put all those pieces together, and what do you get? You get the al-Kitab equation. It's a complete model for a closed, self-regulating reality, where the dance between decay and formation, all anchored by that constant value of 19, computes the very fabric of our existence. But wait a second, there's a missing piece in this grand cosmic machine, a variable that isn't a physical force, but an active operator. So, what is this mysterious variable x that puts this whole cosmic equation into motion? Well, this is maybe the most mind-bending claim of the whole model. X is you. It's the conscious observer, the person engaging with this system of information, processing it, and in doing so, activating it. In the language of the source, this is the reader. So what does that mean? It means the universe isn't some movie that you're just passively watching. No, it's interactive. As the quote here suggests,
The very act of engaging with the book, with the code of reality itself, is what drives the computation forward. You aren't just observing the machine, you are the operator.
So this activation thing, what does that actually look like? Well, it's a conscious choice. It's a shift from just passively drifting in the currents of chaos and decay to actively engaging with the system's guiding principles, to, as the verse says, take the book with strength. And when you do that, your own personal trajectory snaps out of that chaotic drift and locks onto that stable, invariant center of 19. You stop being a passive object and you become an active force inside the equation.
All right, so if this is the system, what's the point of it all? Where is all of this cosmic computation actually heading?
Well, it seems there are really only two ways this can all end. The whole goal is to process experience in a way that preserves information against that constant pressure of entropy to ensure a return to the source. That's a state of restored coherence, a lawful, perfect completion. The alternative? Failure. Information is lost to noise, entropy wins, and all you're left with is irreversible thermal oblivion, the void.
So really, what this framework is proposing is a universe where nothing is ever truly lost. Instead, it's all part of this grand closed circuit. It's a system of creation, experience, and return, where every single state is mathematically bound to its origin, all anchored by that constant d equals 19.
So look, the ultimate takeaway here isn't just to understand this system like you're reading a textbook. It's about recognizing your role as the key operator inside of it. The equation of reality is already running. The variable is you. So the only question left is the one right there on your screen. When will you activate your part in the code?